All right, it's a clicky click, all the clicky buttons. Hey guys, good morning, and what's up? We got some StarCraft coming at you, believe it or not, and it's going to be the TING Korean group for the round of 16. These are some of the last group stages that we have available, so I hope you guys can appreciate them while you can. After this, leads into the round of 8, leads into semifinals and finals, and all this goodness. But it is quite early here on the West Coast, 5 a.m. for me. I know it's about 8 a.m. for you. How are you doing this morning, Zombie?
It could be better.
Did you get enough sleep? That's the real question.
No, I went to sleep at a perfectly normal time, and my body was like, no.
So I bought this sleep juice stuff from the drugstore, and it didn't even taste like anything. It just tasted like water, and it definitely helped me fall asleep. But it was weird because, like, while I was asleep, I woke up because I was too tired to sleep in the middle of my sleep, if that makes any sense, which I'm sure it doesn't. So I just had this miserable, like, 1 a.m. awakening going, like, well, I can't really get up now. Like, if it was 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., you could wake up early for the cast. But I'm like, 1 a.m., I gotta go back to sleep. And then I just rolled around for an hour, slept, alarm woke me up, second alarm woke me up, third alarm woke me up, finally got up. I'm good to go.
That's interesting. Yeah, I just rolled around because I couldn't, like mentally, I wasn't sleepy. It sucked.
I did have my cat with me for once, though. She was actually purring like crazy,
Oh,
so that
me
was kind of nice.
too. Me too. He was like needing me. That actually sucked.
Quit making
But
muffins, man.
are we ready to go?
We are ready to go. We're not going to have an intro for this, but that's okay. Because I just want to show everybody, again, confusion yesterday aside, we are live! Look at this, it's a lobby! Woo! And we're going to be starting off with a PVZ with Super versus Rogue. And
Yeah.
I think everybody with half a brain comes into this with a default favoritism towards Rogue. He's just objectively a
Yeah.
great player. He won Season 1 of Ting. But damn if Super hasn't been showing us really good games lately. Not just from the last couple of months of tournaments, but like literally recently, within the last weeks here on BaseTradeTV. So we'll see
Yeah.
how he fares in this best of 5. But of course, quick shout out to the sponsors of the tournament, guys. Ting, if you don't know what Ting is, it's a U.S. mobile phone service. If you guys are in America, it only is going to benefit you. I'd recommend checking them out over on bttv.ting.com. We do have a goal of getting 40 people signed up and or using their store to purchase things like new phones and cool products in order to get another season from Ting. Another $5,000 for prizing and all that good stuff. But spawning in the bottom left side in the round of 16 for the Korean group to kick off, we've got the yellow Zerg player, Rogue.
In the top left as the red Protoss, he's super.
Bring for Air for Rogue, and right, it's a Freaka for Super, yeah?
Right, yeah.
Nailed it. I was going to mention, for those who don't know the way this worked, Rogue hasn't played any games up to this point. This is actually his first game ever for the Ting Season 2. And the reason he got so far into it without having to play anything was he was invited back due to his Season 1 success, I suppose you could say. Same with Masa, same with Snoot, and same with Mana. It was really depressing and sad, though, watching Mana go out yesterday. And not because it was Mana who lost, but just the way in which he did.
Yeah, he made some comments, and the whole recover game didn't help, I think, mentally, so it did suck watching him go down, especially because I think he knows he could do better. Like he might have like still lost, but I don't think he expected to go 3-0 versus 2 Zergs. That I think was what maybe hurt the most, but at least he was in the decider match, not just like straight out to losers. That was actually Thermal, who had a surprisingly not like bad showing, but obviously he didn't actually get through. He didn't even get to the decider match, and we never got to see that third Nurtio Thermal rematch.
Yeah,
Like we'd wanted.
Nurtio and Bly making it out of the groups was not entirely expected for both, but still good to see. But of course, we're going to find out the players here today. The other matchup that we'll be playing after this, again, all matches today are live. It's going to be Patience versus Alive. Speaking of live.
They're live, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Not intentional, but it works out, sure. He's just kind of super scouting right now. Super, meanwhile, back at home, just taking a natural, not really doing anything too crazy. I mean, he really hasn't been doing anything so excessive that we're like, oh, look at the Dark Shrine, like every game type thing. I mean, it really has been, I almost feel disgusting doing this, comparing a Korean to a North American, but it is reminding me a little bit of Neeb, where you got Super, who's like, all right, whatever, didn't expect much out of him, but then he just plays so well and reacts perfectly to what he needs to.
Yeah, I would put him on like a .8 of Neeb, you know? Like
He's like 0.8
if I had to give him a
Neebs.
Neeb, you know, how many Neebs would I give him?
Is that the official like rating system for Protoss at this point? You're like, who cares about like SOS or Zest or any of those guys? He's like a 1.5 Neeb is what his Zest would come up as.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a pretty good scale.
I actually like the scale a lot. I'm actually going to use that for all future casts now when comparing Protoss.
But seriously, like I agree though that like he still throws in the one best or in a best of he throws in that one all in or cheese or whatever. But it's really about his reactions and his just general game sense.
This positioning was really nice, but that was also great for Rogue to be on top of this with the Lings early on to make sure this wouldn't be something that he couldn't surround.
Right. Yeah. So on the same side that we're talking about Super and of course eventually Neeb, right? About how good they are with their game sense and their macro games. We gotta talk about Rogue. I mean, you might not be watching them. I mean, I'm not watching them, honestly, to be honest. Like, to be completely honest, I'm not watching...
To be honest, to be
right?
completely
Yeah.
honest.
To be 100% honest. Really, truly honest. Like, oh my god, the honesty.
Say honest again, motherfucker! Say honest again!
Not watching that much Korean StarCraft. So I couldn't tell you as to like exactly why Rogue is great. Like I'm not gonna tell you that he has this awesome build versus Protoss or this awesome build versus Terran. Like I actually don't know. But if he's going to be considered like top 3 Zerg, especially in this day and age, shall we say, of Korean StarCraft, then he's gotta have a really solid macro game and a really good understanding, I guess, of the ebb and flow of all of the matchups, you know? So I know the Super can be very consistent, and that's great, and congratulations to him for getting this far, but I also know Rogue gotta be consistent to be considered as highly as he is.
Well, I'm actually going to take shots fired here. We've been really smack-talking a lot of Korean Zerg recently, and they are just not living up to the standards of a lot of the other, even foreigners when it comes to Zerg. The fact that Rogue has stayed on top of the game speaks a lot, I feel. Just that alone. Because the rest of the herd, I guess, has fallen back a bit. Anyways, despite the pylon block and the supply block in the middle of the map, the Lings do manage to dart around the long side. I'm actually curious on Rogue's choice not to work away at the rocks right now. While the Lings might be active, they can clearly see there's no free attacks and no freebies, so maybe knocking down these rocks and opening up that extra path could be more beneficial.
I feel like it's the safest way to do that is when you do have the roaches already ready to go. It just seems to be what Zergs do, is that...
or you can just fly over top of it all.
Well, some of it's going to fly over top of it all and get a bit of damage done, but I think eventually with the amount of roaches he'll get, maybe he starts breaking around now, maybe he'll wait for Hydralisk, because, up until this point, it's Arena, first of all. I mean, it's surprising there's not that much more aggression, but oh well. But if it's going to be a macro game on Arena, then you're going to want to have that choke be the only option. Both of them, as they get up to their 3rd and 4th bases, and they're almost set now. They're almost just a, complete army point.
I don't believe the hallucinating Phoenix saw this coming, by the way, so the Overlord looks like it will, one test one goes in and one real one goes in on the backside. Big thank yous to Fort Orchid for the 8-month resub. Thank you for being awesome. But yeah, this is going to be a couple things to the main. Now, this might not even be that bad. There's pylons here, the Mothership Core. Where is she, actually? The Dark Shrine starts up right now as we speak. Dark Shrine, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. We'll probably see that for Archons more than anything else, since this will be the one game I talk about the cost effectiveness. Of course, cost effectiveness won't happen, but funny enough, actually, as he brings this War Prism over to the side to drop his opponent, it may be better off used at home to defend. I'm unsure. I guess expectation of Banelings is really high, so he pulls the probes immediately, and it's a smart choice. Like, better safe than sorry.
Yeah. This is new, right? Like, Twitch Alerts now shows the resub sentence comment? That wasn't there yesterday, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know, but also I didn't hear the sound for this, actually, I don't think. I'll have to look at that after.
Well, I haven't even had mine up, so don't blame me. Now I do. So this War Prism with the Immoral is very interesting. I mean...
He scoops up what he can to escape. I think he was really hoping Rogue wouldn't have had Hydras ready to go at this point.
Yeah.
Not to say the Adepts couldn't have stayed, but this would not have been cost effective to dedicate more than what he did. In fact, the warping alone was a little bit questionable, but He's done with +1, +2's finishing up here in 1 or 2 seconds time, as it's very close to finishing up. Zealots with charge, +2 weapons, some Archons in the mix. These Hydras aren't going to be such a problem. It's what they turn into that becomes the real problem.
Yes. But Super is almost all set up himself. Like, this really was pretty passive. A single drop for the Zerg, a single drop for the Protoss, and not much else. So Super is on his way to charge. He doesn't have double Immortal production, which means, I mean, you probably want more than just 2 Immortals. But he's getting there. He's got a second Robo about to finish up. He prioritized DTs a little bit more, which I'm not sure about, to be honest. I feel like Arena, eventually they get to enough bases. Oh, no.
Well, especially with an Overseer right there. He does chase these back a bit, abandoning the Lurkers on the front line, so Zealots get a nice kill over there. This has macroed out a bit more than I expected, by the way, with 5 bases for Rogue and 4 for Super.
Yeah. But those DTs, I mean, exactly what I was saying. Like, there's just not a lot of room unless you have a War Prison, like, way off to the right. Usually the main bases are covered with Spore Crawlers by now that sometimes DTs or any form of harassment can be kind of hard to get by on this map. So even Super's 4th going down to this handful of lings is something that's, you know, Super didn't have to have happen. He's just pushing. That's why it's happening. And he's pushing into quite a abusive spot here. He got a lot of roaches off guard. The Lurkers would have to reset, and they're having a hard time doing so. So they're just being left back. I don't know about that.
The Overseers are getting sniped by the Stalkers, by the way, so the DTs are kind of getting away with a bit more than I think we expected. But this is a base trade at this point, so, you know, drop your Ace-1s and Ace-2s in chat. I love the Muta choice coming out of Rogue behind this. But there's quite a few Stalkers, and had that +3 actually finished and not been denied, I think Super could have fought those Mutas. But maybe not with just +2. We'll find out. Again, this was very much a Heart of the Swarm tactic back then. But the Lurkers are killing the 3rd. The Lurkers are killing the Natural. Super's going to hold up in the main. Extra pylons coming down. Lots of overcharges going to be available. But
wow, they're, like, killing each other's workers evenly.
I know. I noticed that too. 27 for 27, right? But they have destroyed a lot of the income. I mean, even though Rogue has this base, it doesn't make him any better off for it. Losing the other hatcheries is going to knock out a lot of that larva production. Super's the one getting supply block, though, I guess, so a little bit awkward in that regard. No anti-air. There's all of the Lurkers. All of the Hydras being Lurkers. He's picking off the Overseers on purpose.
That's pretty funny. I mean, usually, I feel like Super might get pretty lucky here just because he did open with such a blink heavy, like Stalker heavy composition. He has blink and he has quite a number of Stalkers. You know,
I like those force fields.
This could have just easily been mass charge lot with absolutely no anti-air for the Protoss either, but this isn't looking so bad.
Look at the kiting. I know the kiting here has been just fantastic. He doesn't have money behind this, though, the problem. So whatever he loses, he's not going to be able to remake. And while Super might only be having like lings thrown at him after this, it's still production.
Yeah.
Rogue is still on that 1 base. Had he been able to sacrifice, maybe this would have been worth it. But those Immortals died too quick and too soon. But there's still DTs. There's a lot of blink Stalkers. They're caught off guard, though. They need some help. They need some support.
Okay.
Double
Nexus.
Nexus.
19 Stalkers to 13 Mutas. Archons are even coming in now.
And the fact that he's getting these Nexus down tells me that Super knows he can recover. If this was a situation where he wasn't building Nexus and he was only building army units, I actually don't feel good for Super. But the Mutas come across the map. They're going to drop the Stalkers back home. That's really not that big of an issue. And again, as you mentioned, there's Archons out.
Yeah. The Muta transition, you know, on a different map, I think would have been perfect. You know, assuming that Super still went for the Blink Stalkers, I still think that longer distance of a base trade, you know, the extra 30 seconds, might have been almost a deal breaker. It still would have been a very close game, but I think a closer game, because you'd have 20 Mutas instead of 12, for instance, and that's a lot to snipe with, as opposed to what Rogue has now is like doing some damage, but I don't think it'll ever be that like, oh my god, I can't keep enough Stalkers back at home to stop them from sniping everything.
Yeah, okay, so the Stalkers do chase the Mutas way out of position. This allows the Roaches, Lurkers, and Lings to come over. 2 Archons won't stop this.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So nice baiting.
I was really worried at the beginning of this base trade that Rogue was being a little too just forward with his Lurkers.
Oh no.
Maybe that's happening now.
It absolutely is. The Observers are kept safe to the side as well. He's expecting them to get sniped, but unfortunately for him, the Muta count's pretty much dwindled. He will snipe the Observers, though, so it's actually going to be lost at just the wrong moment. Now Super's actually in a lot of trouble. He's got to back away. He can't fight these Lurkers.
Yeah, he did lose a good majority of his Stalkers. You know, there's a couple times they were clumped up, and the Archons getting a little bit late. Rogue's almost making this work, but he does have to reposition the lurkers every single time, which means they might still get sniped. Oh, or the stalkers get sniped.
I would say right now at this point the mutas are a bigger problem than anything else, and the focus on the lurkers might be a mistake. I mean, the third base went down, so you could really just hold up here, but he snipes off another lurker, something not replaceable at all by Rogue.
More roaches are on the way, and God, I mean, Rogue's on one base mining, but they both are. They're both on even workers. Oh, well, maybe I spoke too soon. A DT gets into that base finally, and the Overseer isn't over there, so there goes Rogue's mining.
Yeah, the Overseers are brought to the front line to snipe off observers.
Oh, he's gonna try and get the Robo. That would be pretty critical.
He did get an observer out. The mutas might dive in for this. I'm unsure at this point. The Changeling needs to die.
It really does, yes.
Okay, so even if he gets the Robo, this is still, I think DT beats out on this. He's on the other side of the map killing a lot of drones. Or should be.
Maybe.
Oh, they snipe off the observer again. Stalker's now in range. GG.
GG. Oh my god.
What a close game one.
God. Okay.
But Rogue will clinch it right at that last moment and take a nice 1-0 to start off the series.
Wow. Okay.
What's map 2?
Map, Dusk Towers.
Excellent. I'll get the intro loaded up for this one. Oh man, that's you know what, I had Nitrous on Twitter ask me this morning, like, how do you wake up so early, like what's the secret, and I made a joke showing off my alarm clocks because I do legitimately set like 11 alarms, but games like this, knowing that we're gonna get games like that, that's what helps wake up in the morning. I'll tell you that right now. That was sick. We did get a $5 donation during that game from Mr. Boris Makarov. I want to thank you very much, and he says this goes to Zombie Up since Rifkin is a meanie butt. I retract my statement, and you suck. Don't.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
By the way, I'm currently, I guess we'll start this. I'll talk about it in game when we get some downtime. But TLDR, I'm working on our wildcard problems still, and we may have solutions, which is great. But we'll see you guys in a second for Dusk Towers. All right, folks, finishing up this load into the game. So for those who don't know the current situation, I guess we'll do the intros first. I guess you're tuning in to the Ro16. It's the Korean group for the TING Open Season 2. Spawning in the upper right side of Dusk Towers is going to be Jin Air's yellow Zerg, not green wings. Hey, Rogue.
In the bottom left, as the red Protoss, he is super.
Although if he's green and made mutas, we could talk about that, I guess. But yeah, so $5,000 for the prizing of this tournament, brought to you guys by Ting. Big love to them. Make sure to check out their website. This will let them know you came specifically from our stream. But yeah, so the problem we have right now is Solar is too good and too popular in Korea right now. So the wildcard group that was intended to play tomorrow may not, and we may just have a bit of a free day.
I don't know them, man.
So what I'm trying to get into with this is pretty much tomorrow at the same time, 24 hours from now, we're scheduled to have Snoot, Hyun, Byun, and Solar play a group. That's what we're currently still at, because we're actually a lot closer to disqualifying Solar than moving the rest of the tournament around. However, we have deduced from Snoot, Hyun, and Solar that if we move it to the 18th or 19th after Valencia, they can all play that. And I need Byun's approval, because Byun's not the one who has a problem with the group currently. The issue is, for us, Byun finds out his SSL announcement or elections or however that works on the 7th. So I'm trying to communicate that with him. So TLDR, either we're going to go through with the group tomorrow and we'll have somebody replace Solar, or we'll have the group pushed off till the 18th and 19th, which means the round of 8 comes later, which means the finals probably won't be till the end of the month, depending how things go. For me, I want to just wrap up this season, not because like I'm in a rush, but I want to crown a champion already, damn it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be a little disappointed because I wouldn't have. Well, no, we'd still do the NA group, right? Like on Thursday?
Yeah, that wouldn't change. That's not affected by this
yeah.
at all.
That's true. But we wouldn't do the round of 8 on Saturday.
Right,
so
and that's the problem, yeah.
We're missing 3 days. I don't know, I guess that wouldn't be so bad. The plan originally was basically to fill ourselves with StarCraft until we went to the summit.
Yeah.
Which is on Sunday, so that would be taking away a few days, but we could try and do, like, you know, co-op for you guys, if you're planning on doing anyway. Gonna be honest, probably stream some Overwatch.
We actually have a cool show which I can't talk about in the works that may take place on the 8th.
Secrets.
or tomorrow, funny enough. If you guys were actually listening closely to the stream yesterday, you would know which famous StarCraft 2 player messaged me in the middle of the cast. But yeah, so we're working on it, guys. We got to bridge the holes and fill the gaps and all that good stuff. At any rate,
Bridge the holes.
At any rate,
Okay.
getting into this game, I just want to point out, like, what Rogue did last game, I really enjoyed. With it felt like almost intentional prep for that base trade. We saw it all too much out of players like Penguin and whatnot, where if you're intending to go for a base trade from the get-go, you know, you set up for whatever your big army is, but then follow it up with mutas. For me, I am really curious if Rogue actually intended that from square one of the game, or if he realized, like, oh, okay, Super got to macro a lot. I'm probably not going to win this out if he gets to, like, late game Protoss, all air, all the time, you know?
So again, full disclosure, we're not really watching Pro League or SSL or GSL. That might be how Rogue plays. I'm not sure. Because, I mean, there were days, or not days, like months, I suppose, in Heart of the Swarm, where you would have Zerg players who did their thing and actually didn't play mutas. But you had Zergs who always played mutas, too, right? During that time. Rogue might be experimenting with that, you know, versus Protoss, because we all know after a certain point, Protoss does seem to get better, right? Like, you know, after the Roach Ravagers are all gone, and then the Hydras are being countered by an equally good Protoss army, they seem to just be better, right? Unless the Zerg can get to Hive Tech, and then we go into Sky Toss, and that's a whole other issue. So instead of going to Broodlords, probably never Ultralisk, but, you know, if they're not going for Broodlords, and I think the Muta Transition is the only other option. And we've seen a couple other Zergs try that too. That might be Rogue's just, you know, his answer to late game, or mid-late game.
Maybe. Talking that after, the double Oracle was kind of cool. I like this, but the Void Ray really shines out to me. Now, Super may be doing this because he wants to clean up Overlords and stop from dropping and all this good stuff, but you just really don't see Void Rays too often in this matchup.
Yeah, Super is that guy that's been doing it, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I'd say, I think it was like 2 of the games last time we saw him.
Yeah, it seems so pointless. It's one of those things that is like, gosh, I don't even know how to.
It's like a Pult Viking that's way too expensive is what it is.
Yeah, but I was gonna go along with, like, you know, you see these things, you might think like, okay, what's the big deal of adding, you know, this somewhat expensive unit?
Wait, is this? Oh, okay.
I was just searching for Overlords, okay. But I
mean,
like,
it's really reaching for Overlords, though. Like, he could have gone for the ones outside of his base, but he goes across the map.
Adding in something like this can kind of screw up your build order. So it is that kind of like, is it really worth putting in there? And apparently killing Overlords to him is worth, because it will help out if there's a Roach attack, but it's already this long into the game, and I feel like Roach attacks and Roach Ravager attacks are far less common than they were like 4 months ago, right? So it really does just feel like the Void Ray is going to be here for Overlord cleanup, and it's not going to be very helpful when the Hydras push.
Yeah. Well, 2 Overlords go down. We'll see if we get to the other ones that are popped up right here. That's a Ling, excuse me. The Oracle's still looking for some damage, but when the Hydras come out, they're going to have a really hard time. In fact, the Hydras already are here. We got a $5 donation from TING. Thank you kindly. Says, just want to give you guys for your passion. Love y'all. Also, fuck Protoss players. There, I said it. ... I love that was... I really missed the balanced tip jar. That was, like, my favorite thing we did. Because everyone would just donate $5 just to have us say their thoughts on, like, the races, right? Like, if y'all could just say fuck Protoss for me, that'd be great.
That's great, yeah. Did we shout out the patent?
The patent also resubbed for 2 months. Okay. Thank you so much. Now, Warp Prism aside for the moment, upgrades are still good for Super coming into this. I like the idea of the Stasis Trap. Whether this catches Rogue off guard or not, we'll find out. But if you can catch any amount of those Hydras, that Void Ray gets a little bit greedy. Push off here in the main. There's a huge army of Adepts, though. Goes for the cancel, still sends 4 in. They're going to die to the Hydras, but not before these ones maybe kill the Hatchery? Damn!
Yeah, maybe. The Bailey Nest was put down very, very late, almost like an afterthought to the Hydra army. And he's kind of paying for it. Again, we've seen Baneling responses still fail against Mass Adepts, but, you know, obviously they're still better than I think, Hydras. This is almost like I think what like we see Neeb do, but it's not 10 gateways, and he is backing this up with the potential for Archons. He has a Templar Archives and a 4th base, but it is still a bunch of adepts late in the game, right? And that could have been surprising. Rogue is already on a fairly big Hydra army, though, so I like that Super isn't really dedicating.
Yeah, I really like this almost bluff he's pulling. Like, he shades all the adepts in and cancels 80% of them, still splits them off afterwards, gets about 13 drone kills through what is an impenetrable defense, and doesn't over-dedicate. So, I mean, the stasis wards are going to get cleaned up, and those would be a little bit annoying, but this was really nice for Super in terms of just getting damage done without taking repercussions. I mean, look at 11 adepts for 25 drones. I didn't realize 25 warriors had died over the course of this game.
I'm a little worried that he did just go for drones, and while he didn't sacrifice his entire adept army, he did give some away, and more importantly, he really is just on adepts for right now.
Lord. It's a lot of banelings that are going to be coming in.
Yeah. He's adding on really key units now, like more mortals and archons, but his army still has a lot of adepts, so the splits are going to have to be good, and it's going to be a tough defense, but these stasis traps are really helping.
They're buying a lot of time, right? Like, Rogue doesn't want to leave a huge chunk of Hydras, but there's going to be, like, what, 40 or 50 Banelings out for this? 33 currently, another 20 on the way. Like, okay, you might go, like, Neeb to your God mode and split those Adepts, but there's going to be, like, 3 Banelings for every Adept at this rate. In fact, 44 Banelings to 22 Adepts, there are 2 Banelings per Adept ready to go.
Yeah.
Those stasis traps have got to be good.
If charge is even worth it. We've seen players like very like, you know, key strategy go for like, you know, charge outs and keep them behind, but then you see just them run into Banelings.
Oh, he's not even splitting. He's not even splitting. Oh my god. Oh my god.
God. He really needs something besides Archons and Immortals.
Oh, that stasis trap. Okay, well, still not going to be good enough. Yeah. Oh, that bust. The Immortal's going to take out some of the Hydras, but he needs that extra layer of Adepts. Zealot's going to come in now as well, trying to save these expensive units. But there's more Banelings, so, I mean, it's not even like Rogue can't keep fighting. On the other side of the map, there is a bit of an attack, I guess, a War Prism where the Adepts transferred in, but that's not going to be enough.
It is not. So the 4th goes down. Super took, I think, if he cleans everything up, this might not be that bad. I mean, the supplies really aren't that bad, and you know...
The Immortals almost have their barriers back up if they can live just a little bit longer. Banelings take out one of them. Now the Adepts are going to chase through the Hydras, and let's not forget some of these Hydras are very, very low. But they're going to transfer directly on top of Banelings at that rate. Yeah, backing away might be the better option.
It's a tough situation, though, because backing away from all those potential Hydra kills just means that, well, I mean, he gets away with the majority of his army. Well, not a majority, but I guess a lot more than he would want.
Another aspect of this, too, that it's a little bit maybe scary at this point is all those low health Hydras might become full health Lurkers, something that is going to happen eventually. Yeah. Also, I want to just point out the resources lost. While that was a devastating attack and looked really cool for Rogue, these resources lost isn't so hot. Banelings are expensive, and they're one-hit wonders. You don't get them back afterwards. So it's not the end of the world.
The supply really stayed even during all of that. It was very, very close to snowballing, so I think had Rogue had those Banelings that were stasis trapped, he might be winning, for instance. You know, all the Warpins get killed because Banelings are pretty good, and the Hydras start tearing away at production, but it didn't happen, and he was able to get back that fodder he was missing, and even add in a lot of Immortals. So his army's once again looking pretty good. And I mean, it really sucks that he lost the 4th base, you know, because imagine what would this look like if he had split his Adepts? Would he just be winning totally and entirely and like steamrolling? I don't know, but probably look better, and he probably might not have lost that 4th base and look really, really good.
Okay, and sorry for that small echo, guys. The stream started playing in the background for some reason. I didn't hit play. So whatever you just said in the last moment got talked over by you, ironically enough.
Damn myself. I was talking over people.
I can't turn it off for some reason. There's no pause option. I've just been able to mute it. I don't... Okay, I'll worry about that later. I'm just going to close my browser. I don't want it to come back on again. Banelings actually don't go off too well because they mostly hit Archons, get a couple of Zealots towards the end of that, not too bad. The Ling Rumba is actually a lot more dangerous. Big Warpin of Zealots, though, to defend this. And, of course, these Zealots got +3 weapons. They're going to tear through these Lings.
Yeah, those Lings are not upgraded at all. In fact, he's only just now onto +2 missile attack, so really Super doing quite well on his upgrades.
I love. He tries to catch the ones that are retreating in the middle of the map. That's really smart.
Yeah. Saves the 4th base, loses minimal probes, is looking pretty good.
He's moving towards that fleet
continue
beacon.
This game. Yeah, this is the point where Rogue had, you know, thrown out a Spire and was prepared to base trade. He's gonna have to start thinking about that hive.
The fleet beacon stands out to me the most, of course, because we talked about it earlier, right? Sometimes Protoss gets to that stage of the game, and that's kind of what the fleet beacon is.
Oh,
but
wow.
all these
Ooh.
lurkers have no support, so they gotta fall back. They're really good damage dealing units, but only if other units are taking the hits for them.
Yeah, that was a pretty good catch by Super. I am really worried for Rogue, unless he can start breaking Super here. That Stargate tech might just be a real trump card.
We've seen, like, what? Like, people like Nurture and stuff have been doing weird stuff like 9 Vipers and whatnot, and if you get on top of it early, it's proven to be not so terrible, I guess.
I don't know about this. There's a lot of units that are stuck back, you know, a couple Archons, a couple charge lots.
And the Immortals are busy firing on top of the legs instead of actually hitting the Lurkers, so this might have been too big of a giveaway from Super. That army supply is halved very quickly.
Yeah, that was too dangerous. And, you know, he's invested all his minerals and gas into his Stargates.
He's not falling back off this. He wants to draw Rogue back home because he wants to buy time for those Tempests.
I maybe don't mind this. I don't know. He's definitely going to give up the Immortal army, though. Like, that... You know, he retreats, he probably dies because he lost too much army and he won't have Tempests. At least by doing this, he's going to try and have Tempests.
He's not trading out too badly for it. It's going to suck and he does lose everything, but 15 army supply, how long can you really hold on for? This base, it's denied mining. But the Tempests are out. Problem is it's Tempest.
Yeah, right. The Tempest is out. Either way, I think maybe Super just dies. You know, whether he does what he just did and counterattacks or comes back home and tries to hold, I don't think he would have done well. That attack in the middle was very odd. He wasn't super pressured to take it either, so it was weird.
Right. I'm wondering if it would have been better for him to have just turtled up at that stage. Regardless, though, guys, that's going to be game 2 for Rogue, but it's a best of 5, not a best of 3, so he's still got 1 more to go. But a very nice lead in the series. Yet still close games. Like, this really hasn't been roly-oly, poly oxen-free. And I guess we're going to go to a small commercial break on our end for 2 minutes, and we'll see you guys for game 3 when we get back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ting Open Season 2 Round of 16 Career Group. Oh, let's turn this game sounds back on, too. That'll help. Currently leading this series 2-0, spawning the bottom left side of the map. He plays for Jin Air Green Wings, and he's gracing us with his presence. Ladies and gentlemen, the yellow Zerg player, Rogue.
The bottom right is the red Protoss. He is Super.
I just want to comment, by the way, as much as I might be making jokes about gracing with the presence, etc. Rogue has actually been somebody who has been playing a few more foreign things. Of course, you guys saw him in Katz's events not too long ago, and he's reached out through Season 1. He played the double elimination qualifiers and all that good stuff to get to Season 1 championship. Yeah. I'm glad to see that because he is on a team like Jin Air Green Wings, and I would say up till right up until even 2 months, 3 months ago, you wouldn't see anybody unless it was like MVP or Afrika. Like, a lot of the Kespa teams had things on lockdown. Yeah,
MVP and Afrika and maybe Samsung.
It was like for a sometimes Samsung too was the thing.
Yeah. But then Jin Air, you know, they had the Season 1 Korean qualifier was SOS, a part of the reason we invited him back, and that didn't really work out. It was fun at the time. And even I think Maru had signed up but not checked in or something like that. And then, of course, Rogue and... I think that was it, because it was very funny to see like one Protoss, one Zerg, and one Terran from Jin Air all sign up, and 2 of them check in. So I don't know what it is about Jin Air, but they don't mind as much as SKT or KT, who we never see.
Is he actually going to get the full wall off? I didn't think he'd get this up in time, but he does. Oh, he messes up the wall, though. He knows it, too.
Well, it's only a handful of links. There is no gas behind this. It sucks that he has to make a full wall off. I mean, first of all, that's a pretty delayed Nexus, but he will have some gateway production after.
He pulls probes to go for this. Okay, so two things about this. One, the probe scouting the pool was big. Secondly, the probe scouting the later hatchery was bigger, knowing that this wasn't just like some sort of weird like small dedication. Like, he knew that this was going to cost some money. But at the same time, what Rogue's doing is almost giving Super an odd freebie. And what I say by this is by knocking down the rocks. I mean, this is how every Protoss wants to play. Just freely take a natural, get that third up, Stargate it up. But I guess at the same time, Super doesn't know that this backed away. He needs to scout that the rocks are down. This is actually a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Cancel that Adept even, I say.
I agree, yes. I think that, you know, just take advantage of the fact that they're going to be broken rocks, and Rogue may even break down his own rocks if he scouts. Okay, well, I guess he's gonna try and attack. I mean, that it might be something that Rogue is not expecting, right? Because Rogue, he worked on the rocks for a reason. He wanted to drone behind that little pressure.
That's true, and he may be even trying to take a quick fourth, looking at the lings and what they're doing, but he left one ling very much intentionally on the inside of the rocks.
Okay, good.
He wants to scout with it if the overlords can't see what they need to see, and find out the timing of the third base even. So I thought for a moment like Super might just say, screw it, I'm going all in because you did this to me, you dick. But looks like he might actually try and play this out. In fact, this ling getting a probe kill would be really nice, but should be able to get saved by an adept.
I don't know if like he's going for the Nexus, but he's also breaking down the rocks. And I know that you want to always have that presence, you know, against a Zerg player, so they're not like freely droning. But I do wonder if that's going to be worth it. By the time Super has anything that's really scary to hit Rogue with, you probably will be prepared for it by then. But I guess he's forcing out more lings already.
The funny thing is that anyone has the mothership cord floated all the way over here already, so she's scouting and seeing that there really isn't that much on the ground. And 2 zealots and 2 adepts, that can take on 8 to 10 lings pretty easily, I'd say. Even if there's queen support, all thanks to the mothership core. And let's not forget, she's got that easy out, that recall if necessary.
With the mothership core in good positioning, I guess they're not even 20 plus. This might just be exactly what Super needed. I mean, if Rogue doesn't take this seriously, he could lose out on a lot of lings and just be forced to make more anyway, and he could have over-defended by making too many lings. But it looks like Super wants to keep his units alive more than he wants to force out more lings, and just backs away. So I don't know that it's not trade, like nothing actually happened, but the trade of aggression versus what did the Zerg actually get, I don't know if it was worth breaking down those rocks, because now Super does have to worry about what Rogue can do in 1 or 2 minutes.
Well, we had a resub, I guess, earlier. Must have been during the break, so thank you to Dojiville for the 30 months. What? That's awesome. Was there a message? Did I miss it?
I don't think so. Twitch Alerts is doing its job.
This is Happy Canada Day for earlier this week. Thank you very much.
Twitch Alerts isn't doing its job.
And then a $3 donation hits us up just now from Hanks. And he says, thanks for the amazing passion for the scene. I love all the tournaments you host and all the money you get into the scene. I love you guys.
Oh,
thank you.
So, I follow Tom Hanks on Twitter. I don't know if you do, but it's funny. Like, he barely tweets, which I prefer. But when he does, it's about, like, lost gloves or shoes, like, on the highway or in, like, the streets. And he'll be like, he'll tell Twitter where it is and then sign it Hanks. I'll just be like, okay, Tom Hanks, thanks for letting us know there's an abandoned shoe on 6th Street in Manhattan.
Thanks for that totally relevant story, I guess.
I've always wanted to tell this story because it's so odd. I don't think anyone else follows Tom Hanks because he really cares, but it's such an odd use for your Twitter. But I guess when you have, like, however many followers he has, there's a chance that someone really wanted that missing shoe.
Maybe, I guess. I don't know. But
no, like,
I was going to use that donation to segue and talk about money for a moment. Are you done with the Tom Hanks tweets, or is this leading somewhere?
No, I'm done.
Okay, because I was going to shout out. It is frustrating me because we don't do it to gloat, but we did tweet about how much money we'd put into StarCraft for June, right? Because it wasn't bragging. It was just awesome to see we were able to bring $11,000 in prizing. You know, 5,000 from TING, 4,000 from the map contest, 2,000 from Yord, and another 2,000 for cups and stuff, right? Etc. Etc. And I couldn't believe there was not just 1 or 2. There's over 3 people who were like getting really snarky and like almost, I wasn't sure if it was trolly or bitchy or what the deal was, that we were posting money stats. I'm like, I'm proud that we can bring this money to StarCraft. We didn't fucking make close to 11,000, that's for sure. But I'm glad we can help other people get money.
I only saw the one response. I don't know if there's
the one
more
I
later.
shared. The one I shared on Skype. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I looked at your tweets.
There was incredibly downvoted Reddit threads made about it.
Really interesting. I must have missed them. I'm usually pretty good about checking, new, and seeing them before they get downvoted.
At any rate, we do have those links chipping away the rocks. Once again, the army is a bit out of position. He wants to finish off knocking down these so he can take his 4th at some point. But this is something I think it was a Drogo. Someone had mentioned about the pylon on this map being so frustrating because you can't put it close enough to the Nexus to get instant warp-ins, and you can't put it close enough to the wall. Maybe it was Puck? I can't remember who.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was Drogo, but Yeah, the idea is that it's not close to the Nexus, so even if you put it down there for scouting, you can't warp in on it.
Yeah,
And it'd be
it
just
would
like better if
be.
the Nexus had vision on it.
Yeah, not even just vision too, like the overcharge range, etc. But a little bit awkward is his Lings do catch the reinforcements. The Lurkers were a big get, and he wanted to just charge forward for them. However, that did cost him some of his reinforcements.
Nice. Yeah, the DTs started swiping away. It's really odd to see Super uses DTs so aggressively. They're always aggressive, but with his army.
I mean, yeah, because their DTs are kind of like immortals in that way, right? They've got the similar damage, just one's ranged, one's not.
Yeah. We do see Super once again going for that Spire. I mean, I'm pretty sure he added it on last game. He just never got around to using it. But much later, I would say. This one seems more like his arena game. So he could be preparing for that maybe base trade. It is Ruins of Endion, and you can definitely see the reasoning behind it, but there are quite a few base trades that happen because one army goes down south, breaks down the rocks, and the other army goes north, and either, player doesn't have scouting either way, and suddenly they don't know where their opponent's army is. It's caught off guard. Pick him up. So it's not a bad idea, and certainly if it does get to that point where Super looks like he has an unbeatable army, then Mita's are the way to go.
Those force fields are pretty sexy, but he can't fight because of the Lurker.
Yeah, a little weird.
Gotta make sure there's no actually anti-air. These observers are safe, unlike the previous game where they were getting sniped constantly.
That's a good point. It is a mostly Blinkstalker army still, though. The Immortal count's only just now rising. +2 is almost done, but the Lurkers have now corralled the Blinkstalkers on that ramp.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to go through a choke to actually fight this. So going around the long way seems silly, but it might be better. However, it's going to run into Hydras, it's going to run into Lings, so it's not without consequence. More Ravagers being made as we speak. We got double Robo production, so a lot of Immortals coming out behind this. He does come in from the backside with that flank. He's going to eat those Corsair Biles, though. The sentries go down. Not a great fight out of Super. Time Warp goes down because the Mothership Core was destined to die. But he does pick off the units that are fledgling to the sides. Like, the reinforcements are cut off by this attack. The Archons have been whittling away at the Hydras. He's dedicating maybe a little bit too much because of the Lurkers right now.
Can't deal with the Lurkers. His Stalker army really just can't do that well with Lurkers in general, and he didn't have that many Immortals to add on here. The idea of almost a 360 surround was pretty cool, but that just means, I guess he was messing up on multiple fronts instead of just one, so at some point, some of his army died.
GG.
GG.
GG. Alright, well, congratulations to Rogue, and a quick thank you to Hanks, because apparently we had said his name wrong. It was not Hanks. I did, in fact, miss that middle S. The two K's threw me off more than the middle S, though. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh well.
But okay.
Thank you.
That will wrap up the first series today. Congratulations to Rogue. Next one up is going to be Alive versus Patience. This did actually run quite short and quite quickly. I do know Patience is around. I'm not sure if Alive is, however. So we're going to have to go poke around and find them while we play these sponsor breaks. So please understand, any and all things related to TING, guys, are only going to work if you're in the United States. If you're in Canada like me, you can, of course, use TING if you're like traveling. You just pop in their SIM card. I used it for when we were in DreamHack Austin. Worked out really well, actually. But bttv.ting.com is the place to go if you're looking for any of that. And while he might not be here right now, anytime you guys see Jesse in chat, Jesse, funny enough, has actually been showing up to a lot of our other casts. He just loves StarCraft that much, I guess. If you ever see Jesse in chat, he's always happy and always willing to field questions and answers and all that good stuff. So, without further ado, a word from the sponsors. While we get, hey, Alive's here. Nice. Cool. We'll get Vito started then, and we'll have this next series ready to go sooner than later. So, we'll see you guys soon.